Hello and welcome to your practice. Today our posture is lunge and we're going to be doing multiple variations. So it's a really awesome practice and it's all very low to the ground. So it's a very settling practice as well. It's a great complement to your running or your walking if you do either of those things for exercise, but it's going to feel good no matter who you are and what you do during the day. So we'll begin in mountain posture. We won't be standing very long. This whole practice will be pretty low lunges, but just come to a standing mountain posture and either let your arms relax by your sides or bring your hands together in front of your chest. And just take a few settling breaths here. And then let's start to get right to it and make our way down towards the mat so that we can experience all these different varieties of lunge postures that I have planned for you today. So we'll reach up to extended mountain and then hinge from the hips down into a forward bend, allowing your hands to rest on the floor or, of course, on your blocks. And just take a few breaths here to settle in. When you're ready, take a little half lift with your torso. Now, your hands could be on the floor, but I'm going to use the blocks today. So I'm going to bring the blocks to either side of my front foot, which is going to be my right foot. We're going to keep the right foot at the front of the mat and take a long step back with the left foot. Now, before we lower the knee, you might point and flex your back foot a few times and allow it to really move back as far as you need to go in order to feel a lengthening and a stretch here at your hip flexors. Once you're feeling ready, go ahead and lower your back knee to the ground and untuck your back toes. If you feel any tenderness in the kneecap, you can take a hand towel or a folded blanket and put it underneath the knee. A couple things to look out for here in this lunge. One of them is to make sure that you're not shooting past your ankle with your knee. If you look down, you want to be able to see your toes and to notice that your ankle is stacked right underneath your knee. You've got this really nice plumb line. Another thing to avoid is what I refer to as the proposal position lunge, in which we have two 90-degree angles in the legs. There are a few reasons for this. One of them is that it's a lot of pressure in that bottom knee. And the other is that it gives us very little or no stretch in the hip flexors. So we shift forward in order to feel that stretch, that lengthening of the top of the back leg. And as I'm talking about all of these alignment tips, you can just be holding in the posture. This practice today is not so much a flowing practice, but more of held postures where we give the body some time to experience and receive the benefits. So there's movement happening, but it's with your breath rather than major big movements of your body. Spine is long, shoulders released back and down. And your blocks can be on any of their 3 settings here if you're using them. Each setting feels just a little bit different. So we'll move on to the next variation of our lunge position. And for this one, we'll bring the hands up onto the thigh. Now you might back up a little bit if it feels like it's too much, but make sure you don't go all the way back into that proposal position. Keep it where you feel a stretch. Take a few breaths here. If you'd like a little extra challenge, you can even hold on to the kneecap with your right hand and try reaching up through your left arm. And then when you're ready, come back to the knee and come back to the floor or your blocks. We're going to stay with this side, but edge the right foot out to the right a little bit. And I'm coming inside of the inner thigh with my blocks and my hands. Now we're in a wide-legged lunge, also known as a lizard lunge. And my knee is still stacked over the ankle. We're staying in that joint stacked position. We're adducting the inner thigh or pulling it towards the midline for now. You can stay with your hands on the floor or on your blocks, or you can try coming down onto your forearms. Remember, all of these options are just that. If you're feeling a stretch somewhere and I give something a little deeper, you don't have to go there. I'll move these blocks just so that you can see a little bit better the next variation, but you can keep yours in place if you're liking them and using them. We're going to go into some external rotation of that front leg and allow the knee to tip open to the side. Roll onto the lateral edge of your foot or the little toe edge and create this wing position with your leg. Again, you could be on your hands or you can be down on your forearms. And now you're probably really feeling something. We've been in some form of a lunge for several minutes now. And originally your body might experience a sort of tensing up, a fight or flight type of response. But if you just stay with your breath, send the message to your nervous system that it's okay to be here, you will eventually settle in. When you feel ready, bring your knee back to that position of stacked over your ankle. Take a breath here. And you can stay right here, or for our final kind of bonus feature, plant your left hand, reach forward with your right arm, and come into a twist. Bringing your hand right behind your back. Or if you're feeling really stretchy today, you can bend your back knee and hold the top of your foot. Or maybe you have a strap or a hand towel around the foot. When you're ready, release your back ankle and come back to your lunge. And then back your hands up so that they're a really good base of support. Start to shift your hips back and come to a tabletop position. When you get to tabletop, just take a little swish from side to side with your hips. Notice how you feel on one side, one leg compared to the other. And then we'll get ready to do that whole sequence again, this time with the left foot forward. So you can come into your lunge. Obviously, we're getting in a little different this time. When we started, we stepped back from mountain. Now we're going to be stepping forward with the left foot. So you can do that right from here and guide your left leg forward. Or some people like a little more space to come from downward facing dog. So if you'd like to do that, shift back to child's posture. And then tuck your toes. Pull back. You can even give a little lift of your left leg and then guide it forward to the front of your mat. And if your step didn't make it as far as you wanted it to, use your hand, wiggle your foot forward a little bit. You can point and flex your back foot. You can already be using those blocks if you have them. And then when you're ready, lower your back knee down onto that blanket or onto your mat. So we're here just letting the body acclimate to our first lunge on this side. Remember that if you're using blocks, you can pick any of their 3 heights. Make sure your belly is a little bit active so that you're not collapsing into your lower back. And stay here for one more breath. And then we'll bring the hands up onto the thigh. Or just like on the other side, you can hold on with just your left hand and try reaching up or even up and back with your right arm. And even though I said this is going to be a really stretchy practice, you will feel some real stabilizer muscles firing in your front leg here to keep you in place. When you've had enough, come back to the floor or to your blocks, and we will edge the left foot out so that there's space for the torso in lizard lunge. And I like to go either lower blocks and to the forearms or no blocks and to the hands for this one, but you can experiment with what you like. Maybe at first you kind of feel maxed out at a certain level or certain height. And then as you remain and breathe in the posture, you think you want to try going a little bit deeper. That can happen sometimes. Sometimes the opposite happens. You start at a certain point and you realize that what felt good in the beginning is starting to feel uncomfortable. And it's totally appropriate at that point to add more support, take a little break, or try a different variation. So now we'll try allowing the left leg to wing and tip out. We're abducting and externally rotating at the hip. The knee is tipping out to point towards the side of the room. And we're now resting the weight on the lateral edge of the foot. Really, really big stretch. When you've had enough, we're going to restack the knee over the ankle. And you could do it from this low position, but I usually like to come back up onto my hands so that they are a little more supportive, less weight to reorient, less weight on the ankle and the knee. And then we'll get ready for that final revolved variation. So for this one, I like the hands on the floor, but it's up to you. We'll keep the right hand in place and reach forward with the left hand and then bring it back behind the back. And this is a great place to stay, right here. Or you can grab your back ankle. And I'll just show one more different variation. If you are finding that forearm position to feel really doable and comfortable, you might try coming down to your forearm, to the blocks or to the floor, and coming into this variation. It's really deep, so don't feel any pressure to go there if up on the hand feels like enough already. That's the wonderful thing about this practice. Someone could be right here doing this version, and then someone else could be up here doing this version. And both individuals are receiving a stretch, both individuals staying within a safe and healthy range of motion for their unique body types. You've got to take out that competition with yourself or with anyone else and just breathe and listen to your body and what it wants today. So now you've probably twisted about long enough. Make your way slowly back to center. Make sure you've got a firm foundation in your hands. I like to back up the hands or even the blocks so that they take a lot of the pressure. You're going to feel tender as you come back, so go really slow. Take a little pause in tabletop. And then after all of that, it might feel good to end in child's posture. Coming down for a few breaths, releasing the head and even the arms to the earth. And when you feel ready, come on up from your child's posture, and you might choose to continue on and venture forth from there in your practice, or you might feel like that was just right for today. You're going to have maybe a nice, happy little bit of stretched tenderness in the hips tonight and tomorrow, and I'm so thankful that you practiced with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day or a restful evening, and I will see you next time. Namaste.